Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a hidden world of ships operating just outside the traditional rules, often to bypass international sanctions. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Shadow Fleet. You sometimes hear it called the Dark Fleet or Gray Fleet. It's this complex and rapidly expanding network of tankers carrying oil, often in ways that really defy global regulations. Our mission: explore how this fleet has just exploded in size, the pretty significant risks it poses for safety and the environment, and, well, what authorities are doing or maybe struggling to do to rein it in. We've got sources from maritime intelligence firms like Pripler, BRS, Windward, and news outlets like Splash 247, painting a vivid picture of this opaque world. The numbers involved here are really quite striking. The growth in these sanctioned ships has accelerated dramatically, almost unbelievably so.
That's truly fascinating, I think, is the sheer scale of this expansion. You look at analysts at Krepler, they show a near five-fold increase in sanctioned vessels just since July 2020, jumping from around 370 to roughly 1,650 by July 2025. That's
Yay.
huge. And the companies involved. From about 60 to nearly 500 in that same period. And the fastest growth really hit after mid-2024. This isn't just growth, it's like an explosion that fundamentally redefines maritime risk, makes oversight incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. And BRS reports the Gray Fleet's been expanding by about, what, 30 tankers a month just in 2025?
Exactly. And get this, 886 tankers. That's a staggering 78% of the entire Gray Fleet are now considered sanctioned. That's a dramatic leap from just 191 last year.
78%.
Yeah. It poses a really significant threat to the regulatory integrity of global seaborne trade. Makes it so much harder to track who's shipping what and where.
And a core tactic they use for this evasion involves using fraudulent registries, right?
That's a critical piece here, absolutely. Windward, the maritime analytics platform, they've identified around 1,900 ships as part of this dark fleet.
Mm.
Their data shows 40% of Iran trading and 30% of Russia trading tankers in this fleet are now using fraudulent registries or have unknown flag status.
40%.
We're talking about places like Eswatini saw a shocking 260% surge in false flag vessel registrations in just Q2 this year.
260%.
Or Guyana with a 105% increase. These numbers for falsely flagged ships have actually doubled in less than 12 months. It's like they're creating a parallel shipping universe.
Okay, beyond the numbers, here's where it gets really interesting for me. What are the actual real-world risks? You mentioned the safety and environment.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about sanctions evasion, though that's key. It's a direct threat to maritime safety and environmental protection. These shadow tankers are significantly older. They average 20.2 years compared to the mainstream fleet's 15 years.
That's quite a difference.
It is. Plus, over 80% of sanctioned ships lack confirmed insurance.
80% without confirmed insurance. That's staggering. What does that really mean if one of these has an incident?
It raises alarms about potential catastrophic oil spills or collisions, with no clear way to cover the, immense damages.
And we even have a recent, almost cinematic example of how complex this gets, don't we?
Yes, the case of the Conoco Atlas in India. This is a perfect illustration. Imagine this Comoros-flagged vessel, long linked to the Shadow Fleet, sanctioned crude movements. Gets arrested in India.
Okay.
It was sold for scrap, but then the buyer alleged the owner failed to disclose its sanctioned status,
Oh.
and the transaction was promptly blocked by a bank. It just highlights how deeply intertwined finance is with this shadow world. It makes it incredibly difficult for these vessels to ever truly disappear, even at the end of their lives.
Given the scale of this problem and the clear dangers, the burning question is, what can be done? And maybe more importantly, what are authorities actually achieving?
Well, this raises the important question of effectiveness, doesn't it? For instance, the Panama Ship Registry, world's second largest flag, they've implemented stricter controls. They won't accept tankers or bulkers older than 15 years anymore.
Yeah.
And they require mandatory traceability and 48-hour advance notice for offshore ship-to-ship transfers of hydrocarbons.
A common shadow fleet tactic.
Exactly. Non-compliance could lead to deregistration.
Those rules sound strong on paper, but historically, don't these fleets just find new flags, new loopholes? Is this really a fix or just pushing the problem somewhere else?
That's always the challenge, yes. But we are seeing other national responses. Norway, for example.
Well.
Starting August 11th, they'll require foreign flag tankers in their economic zone to disclose their insurance. It's a direct response to these concerns. We even saw that case, remember? An unauthorized insurance operation in Oslo, RO Marine,
Ah, yes.
uncovered for issuing forged insurance documents specifically to help shadow fleet vessels. It just underscores the lengths these operations will go to.
And then on the geopolitical front, we're seeing things like the U.S. imposing new tariffs on India, specifically over its continued imports of Russian energy. How does that fit in?
It adds another layer of pressure, definitely. It's a very dynamic situation. Braemar, for instance, suggests these tariffs could make Indian refiners more risk-averse, maybe shifting demand to younger, compliant ships. But then other analysts, like Gibson, point out that buyers and sellers might just find, well, new ways around the rules, perhaps by increasingly going dark with their trading practices, as they put it. It's this complex, evolving balance of economic and geopolitical pressures constantly adapting.
So we've peeled back some layers on this growing shadow fleet, its inherent dangers, and the global efforts often met with quite sophisticated workarounds to bring it back into the light. Here's a final thought for you to chew on. What happens when this relentless drive for sanctions evasion meets the rising tide of environmental and safety concerns in what feels like an increasingly fractured global trade landscape? And how will technology adapt both for those trying to evade and those trying to enforce in this ongoing high-stakes cat-and-mouse game?